Okay. This is how to do an install of an automatic stirrer on a NorthBend 160 quart kettle. We're going to drill one hole on each side near the top of the kettle. The first thing I'm doing is finding the center. As long as the bowl is centered on the popper, then this will translate into this part. Just get that measurement from one side to the other like that. I get my total length, divide it in half, and then check it on each side and get my center point. But we did this recording on a windy day, so obviously that is why we have to do a voiceover here. Hopefully I'll be able to redo it someday. But anyway, I use a Milwaukee brand marking pen. Draw your center line, make sure it's within a 1/16 of an inch accurate. And then I take that line and draw it up towards the bowl, as you'll see here. Now this is basically how I do it on a NorthBend 160 quart, but it's the same basic process that you would use on any size kettle, really. This type of top dumping, ranging from, like, say, 110 quart to 160 quart kettle. And then once you draw that line up to your kettle, then you're going to draw your line up, and you want to put a center line, and you'll see why later, because you're going to match up the mounting holes to that line, so you know your center point on the pot. This is just the easiest way to do it. And you do the same thing on the other side. Find that, get your center point, trace it on up, from the side to the bowl or the kettle, and draw those lines. So now we got that centered. Take your auto stir out here, and stirring attachment is on the top. Remove that, and underneath that is the automatic stirrer and all the parts you need. So you take your automatic stirrer out, you place it like so, and then I have these mounting brackets, one for each side. You take the slotted end and put it underneath there like so. Put the corresponding bolts through that when you mount it. But what you're going to do is you're going to mount the brackets first. I'm just showing you here how to mount the brackets on the auto stir. So the brackets have been mounted to the auto stir. That's what you're going to do first. And then you set that on top of the kettle like so. And basically what we're doing here is we're finding the exact point where we're going to have to drill a hole through the kettle. And you'll see how that's done. Close the lids. Okay, so you see that line very clearly goes right through that hole. Centered in that hole is where you want to put your mark, where you're going to drill. I use a spring-loaded punch, as you can see here. Put it in there as closely to the center on the line through that hole as you can see, and just give it one good punch. As long as you have your point marked, that's good enough for now. You can, when we take the auto stir off, you can follow up with two or three more punches to make that little divot a little deeper. The reason why we're doing that is so that we have the exact point where we're going to drill, and it helps hold the drill bit so it doesn't move on you while you're trying to drill your hole. Now we're going to do the other side the same way. Of course, you don't have to. I'm doing this in the back of a pickup truck bed, which is making it more difficult. On the ground, it'll be a little easier. So once you get your points marked, you take the auto stir off. Now you're getting ready to drill your holes. As you can see here, I use a Cobalt drill bit, Milwaukee brand, to get these at Home Depot. I start with a 7/64" drill bit because you want to start with a smaller size to be able to get through that stainless steel. And then you can follow up with your bigger drill bits. But what you're doing here is you want to make a pilot hole with a smaller size that's brand new and sharp with the Cobalt. So, now I'm drilling my hole, and my first hole, of course, is going to be, the 7/64 hole. And just watch it real careful, make sure it doesn't slip. Once I drilled that, then I sand it off a little bit, or file it through. As you can see, the round file. Now, in this particular one, I've already drilled through 2 or 3 different sizes, and then I finish it off with the sander here just to kind of smooth it off. But I started off with a 7/64" hole, and then you go up to 5/32, and then you go up to, say, 3/16, which is what that is. And you can see how that line goes right through that hole in the exact spots that you need to mount that bracket. And it's cleaned off so that there's no shavings and whatnot. See, so now I'm going to mount the brackets. Take the auto stir off, mount the brackets, or the auto stir was already off. But so now you put those mounting bolts on, and put it from the inside out. So that doesn't obstruct anything on the inside. Like I say, I'm trying to do this as a voiceover, and so I apologize for my timing here. Bear with me through this video, and hopefully we'll get through it okay. Okay, so I got the mounting brackets mounted on both sides. Then you put the auto stir on those and then mount those, and so now I have that auto stir properly mounted after putting on the brackets. Now you can take the auto stir off and just leave the brackets on there, so you don't have to keep taking the brackets off. You can just take the top nut off. You can put a wing nut on the top if you want. And just remove the auto stir off the brackets. If you want to, you can probably tack weld that bracket on. But anyway, once it's on there. But you're not really going to tighten it down yet until to find your exact spot until you put the steering attachment on. Here I am putting the steering attachment on. It's difficult to get the exact height unless I'm on site. So I do the best I can. If I'm about 1/8 of an inch too long, then you're going to have to cut it off. I'll show you how to do that here. It was slightly too long. I'd rather have it too long than too short, so that way you can just cut it off pretty easy, and then it'll be an exact fit, say just right above the bowl to where it's not touching the base of the bowl. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get it, that's a cutoff wheel, 4.5 inch cutoff wheel. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get it centered, you're going to turn it on, make sure it's spinning freely, and then once you get it in the right spot, then you can go ahead and tighten it down. And when you tighten those set screws down on the coupler that the steering attachment goes into, you don't want to torque them more than about 26 pounds of torque. If you over tighten them, then they can strip those set screws. But once you get that at the right adjustment and it's spinning freely when you turn it on, then go ahead and tighten down those top bolts you see there, and you're good to go. And of course it's going to have the bolts through the kettle as well. And you can just remove it by taking those top screws off or wing nuts, and you don't have to remove the side brackets. So that's about it. And if you have any questions, just contact me. Thank you.